What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning, that's right, glovegate. There was a sparring partner slash fighter, and he came forth with information regarding Tyson Fury. If you guys can remember, last year he was on different forums. His name is Nicholas Ashbury. And Nicholas Ashbury, he was on a few forums talking about Tyson Fury's gloves and how there was padding coming out of the gloves and how they were... Fury had egg weights in his gloves, and he was using those egg weights to hit Nicholas with. And that video came out before that fight, mind you, and I remember he came, and then there was shit coming out of the gloves, like it was like some old gloves. Like I have old gloves in the back of my trunk that I used the other day. And I was working the heavy bag, and they were older gloves. That's what gloves do. They weather, especially when they're not horsehair, right? They just wear down. That's what they do, just like shoes and anything else. And I seen like those old gloves that he was using, and he was like, "Do you know who the fuck I am? There's no padding in the gloves." And the strange thing was, he said that there were egg weights in the gloves. But the strange thing was he couldn't find, or he didn't film that part of the egg weights in the glove. You would think that he would do that. That was like the rising action. That was the climax, right? The rising action was like the shit coming out. Then the climax would be the egg weights. If you seen someone with shit in their gloves, that would have been a big scandal. Now, I did a video on it when I saw it, but then I was like, okay, but then no one else gave a shit, really. That didn't really hit headlines until Wilder got beat, okay? So then Nicholas Ashbury arose with his accusations. Oh, yeah, knew he was cheating. I knew he was a cheat for the longest, and this, that, and the other. So, and based off of how the gloves looked, this is a picture, or actually a video clip, of how his gloves looked going into, I guess, his last fight, or maybe it was the fight that he had before, or the fight that because I think he just got beat, because he hasn't fought in like 4 years, 5 years. So I think he went in and got mollywopped, right? He got beat. But if you look at the gloves that he has, the gloves has grooves and indentions on them, the same grooves and indentions that he accused Tyson Fury of. Those were what people have been going about. Now, to be fair, they looked worse than that, but gloves do take a shape form of whatever it is, especially when you pry them down in there and you tape them up. And if you have big hands like Tyson Fury, a guy that's 7 foot tall, you're going to see some type of indention in there. And the gloves that we're looking at, they don't look like they're big gloves. They look like they're like maybe 12 ounce gloves. I don't even think they're 14s, but you can see the grooves or indentions in there. So if he's going to talk about Tyson Fury or the possibility of him cheating thereof, he should include himself. But this just shows you that people can start any type of narratives that don't know what the hell they're talking about in the sport. If you look at those gloves, look at these gloves, right? You have grooves in the gloves. And the grooves in the gloves represent where the padding was distributed, okay, based on how they were taped and what they look like once that happens, okay? Because it's just like when you grab anything and you squeeze it at this point, anything here will make a form of its own, okay? It doesn't mean you got shit in them, and it doesn't mean you got egg weights in them. That was one of the biggest lies that was spread amongst all these guys. And Nicholas Ashbury should be ashamed of himself, because it just shows the hypocrisy and the chicken shitness of him. See that video that he posted, like saying, hey, you guys know who the fuck I am, and he has no padding in the gloves. But at the same time, this guy is caught fucking posting pictures with Tyson Fury and smiling and cheesing and shit. If you were cheated like that, or you felt that you were done dirty by a guy that was hitting you purposely with worn out gloves with no padding in them, why the fuck would you be posting pictures with him and shit like that? You wouldn't have no type of interaction, or you wouldn't even want any interaction like that if it was that bad. You see what I'm saying? If it was that bad. And I'm going to share something with you guys. I ran into Ben Davison, right? Ben Davison, and I was telling him, like, hey, you know, you did a good job with Tyson Fury, this, that, and the other. And you should be proud. Now you're with Devin Haney and things of that nature. And then we started talking a little bit about, like, the gloves and things of that nature. And he said, like, listen, you can't make sense out of something that doesn't make sense. Period. You know, you can't reason with unreasonable people or situations. And it just made all the sense. It was a great counterpunch, you know, but it just shows you that these guys will make any type of reasoning or excuse. And this was a ringleader. He was one of the, you know, the witnesses that testified about Tyson Fury and his wrongdoings of yesteryear. Which, here's the thing. If Tyson Fury cheated this young man while sparring, was that dirty? Hell yeah, that was dirty. Shit, yeah, that was dirty. If he did that to hurt this young man. Now, mind you, if he did that to hurt this young man, that's bad. That's fucked up, Tyson Fury. But does that mean he could have pulled that shit off in a professional fight? You know, and if he was allowed to do those type of things, that meant Deontay Wilder's camp were idiots. You know what I mean? I can't make it any clearer than that, because you had a guy there, JD's, and you put him in charge of looking at gloves, and you knew he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Or obviously you didn't know. And I'm really to the point where if Wilder is a tell-all type of person, he should have at least said what he told JD's. He said he gave him an earful. I would have liked to know what the hell he said, because obviously JD's ain't allowed to say anything. He has a gag order now. So it's just something to really think about. Like, what did you really tell JD's? An earful don't mean anything. Deontay Wilder is a very detailed person, especially when he wants to say something or he attempts to explain himself. He's always been that person. But with that, oh, I gave him an earful. That's not telling us anything. Tell us exactly what you told him. Tell him what you said and why you said it. Those things are swept under the rug, and it really makes me suspicious. But with this guy here, you see these grooves in the these indentions in his gloves. They don't mean anything. They just mean the shape of that glove behind the wraps take place on how his fist was pushed into the glove, because they have to be pushed in order to fit, and then they have to be taped up to make sure there's no loose ends in there. That's what you see. But according to Mr. Ashbury looked and took this as a sign of having egg weights in there. So if that's the case, that means, Nicholas, you have egg weights in your shit too, or your shit's tampered with. But anyway, that's just me counterpunching this because it was sent to me, and this is my video of that. You guys tell me what you think of Nicholas Ashbury's gloves and going into a professional fight. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.